Hello, everybody. Greetings and Hafaday. I'm Jason Salas down in what has got to be the most important and most enjoyable assignment we have here at KUM News today. We are down in beautiful Humåtak, one of the most southern points on the island. I have my friend Joe Kanata here with the Humåtak Community Foundation. Hafaday, Joe.
Hafaday and welcome Guam down to the village of Humåtak.
All right, it is an unbelievable day, one of the most important days in our island's rich history. We are actually in a few moments going to see the actual reenactment of Magellan when he landed on Guam. And what used to be known as Discovery Day Guam, now known as, let me see if I can get this right, it's the Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day, correct?
Yes, exactly. And before it was Discovery Day, it was Magellan's Day. And before it was Magellan's Day, it was actually a day when the villagers would get together to start a fundraising event for the school. And this is like in the early 1900s. In 1924, that's when they called it Magellan's Day. And that's another story to tell. But right after that, then they changed it to Discovery Day, and then now it's a whole different day. But it's a different name, but everything's still the same.
All right, the sentiment has preserved, as has our appreciation for this time-honored ceremony that goes on every single year. Villagers right here from the southern end of the island recreating what happened when Magellan came upon Guam, saw the island for the very first time, made landfall. It was incredibly amazing. You can see right behind me right now, there's so many people from all walks of life. People that have made Guam their home now, people that have lived not only in the village of Humåtak, but from all over the island have come here. I would say all of the island right now is off as far as the public and private schools, but everybody's gathered here because it's an amazing tradition, not just because of the ceremony, not just because people play a really competitive basketball game, but it's also a place where the entire village gets together and you really exhibit that signature southern hospitality that Humåtak is so known for.
Yes, and we have it much more special because our youth, our kids, are actually at the different historic sites, and they're there to share with the public, the visitors, the story of Humåtak. And in these sites, there are incredible sites. Like a lot of people didn't know that there was a palace in Humåtak, the governor's summer palace. Well, you get to know that. The kids will get to share that with you.
And that is a very important thing that the Southern Village does, is it makes sure that the traditions, the stories, the heritage, the respect is always passed down to younger generations. Everybody I've ever known in my life from the great village of Humåtak always grows up with that as a very big part of who they are.
Yes. And you know, there's a secret I want to let out because it's one of the stuff that we're known for. Right after this reenactment, a little bit more hours, and the boats are going to go out because there's a school of mackerel that is waiting to be caught right in the middle of the bay.
Oh, wow.
And so that's tradition also.
Okay.
And so I was impressing upon the mayor to make it a really more like a community event where everybody pulls the net in, and he started to laugh. But in any case, we'll be scooping up some mackerels.
Okay, Joe, well, I also want to shed light on the fact that for your family, the Kanata family, so tied into this village for so many years. I remember when I was a kid, I'd go to that wonderful restaurant over there. It's a 2-story building, Kanata's Restaurant. Some of the best food you will ever find on Guam was served over there. What does it mean to your family to have such deep roots in this village and you know, to represent the village as well as you do?
Yes, you know, first of all, everybody in Humåtak is related to everybody. It's one big family, and the only way we're going to preserve and you know, and take care of our tradition, our heritage, is to really take care of the family. It's the family that everything starts out, and so because it's family, then we can be able to do a lot of other stuff together.
And so much of Humåtak has not changed since I was a kid, you know, maybe like 30, 35 years ago, coming through here, either for the Village Fiesta or on Discovery Day. You know, the same 2-lane road exists right by there. When you pass by the church and you feel, you know, the tradition and the old school, the very rustic South, you know, you feel that sense of love, and everybody knows everyone else, everyone's aware of your family. Neighbors, you know, took care of each other. You could walk out of the house without locking the door. You just walk right over there, and of course there is the bridge, which will show you there's so many monuments here in such a small part of the island. So I mean, there's just so much history and tradition here. I mean, you can really feel it in the air, just how much this village means to the island and who we are as a people.
Yes, and so when you do walk along the streets, you know, it's not like walking in some city or anything, but time actually slows down when you come to Humåtak. Not only that time slows down, but but your heartbeat starts to slow down because you start to get to relax and get comfortable. And then if your blood pressure builds up again, then all you have to do is just go down to the bay and soak yourself, and that would take care of it.
Okay, and there is probably no better snack to enjoy than some traditional Humåtak bunelos dagu.
Yes.
Oh man, good. You need some potassium right after you've taken a dip in the bay. That is the best thing. Oh, there are at least 3 or 4 vendors that are making that unbelievable.
Yes, and right now the Heritage Kids are actually doing some typhoon donuts for everyone to taste. So.
Okay, so once again, if you're just joining us on Facebook Live, half a day, I'm Jason Salas alongside Joe Kanata with the Humåtak Community Foundation. In just a few moments, we are going to witness right here on beautiful Humåtak Bay the reenactment. We do this every single year of the landing of Magellan. We're going to be here. You're seeing right now some of the, and Joe, please tell us about some of these structures and these huts that have been erected.
Yeah, so the huts are actually they're not a perfect replica, because what happens is that at the end of the show, the huts get burned down. That's the whole excitement about this reenactment, is that these huts get burned. Everybody loves to see fire.
What's the symbolism of that?
And so it actually the story talks about Magellan coming in and the people taking care of Magellan's crew, and then because the people here think of each other as family, and when Magellan came, that was the same thought. And so when they went into their ships to look at and look at the stuff that he had, Magellan thought that they were stealing their stuff. So that all ensued, and Magellan came in and burned down the village and left Humåtak, and later on called Guam Islas de las Drones.
And that's a very poignant moment. A lot of people say Isla de las Drones, the island of thieves. Not a lot of people really know the true story behind it, but because of the very fine work that you and your neighbors, your family members doing, that part of our island's history is strongly preserved.
So yes, so it's explained this story, and this story is not something that we conjured up last year or the year before. It was done many years ago. It started since 1924, and so it's not something that we go and do research work and we do a repertoire of whatever it is. It's something that was told generations to generations.
And yeah, we're giving you just some of these shots of some of the amazing exhibits, things to do, things to eat, people to talk to just here in Humåtak. Could we have even asked for a more beautiful day today? I mean, the good Lord upstairs has just given us the absolutely perfect day for this.
Yes, and it's a perfect day to come in and sit around and just relax and watch and learn the story of Humåtak.
Okay, and if you guys are watching and you're not on Guam right now, we want to hear from you. Throw in some comments. Use the emoji. Give us thumbs up are nice. Laughing emoji is accepted, but give us the heart, because that's really what it's all about. It's about the love. It's about remembering. It's about taking part in tradition and really paying homage to the people that came before us, because that's what it means to be Guamanian. I'm sorry, Joe, our range would not extend if I walked up there, but also talk about Fort Soledad, because that has always been one of the most picturesque places of the village. And now people with drones, they go up there and they take these amazing shots over the bay. So what significance does Fort Soledad have to the village?
Okay, Fort Soledad during the Spanish period. Now you have to remember that for 250 years, Humåtak was the port of call for Guam, and so all the ships would come into Humåtak. Now, when these ships come in, they're coming in loaded with goods. And so the forts actually act as a sentry for these ships. So the ships will be parked right outside the bay. And so you have maybe 3, maybe you have a dozen ships, and they're being guarded by these forts. You not only have Fort Nuestra de la Ciudad, you have Fort Santa Angel, and you have you have another fort that sits right above Fort Santa Angel. And so these forts actually look over the ships that come in to port here on Guam.
Okay. Now, of course, my colleagues and I from KUAM, we were coming from Harmon, so we took Agate Umatic Road to get here. And I would say, whether it's your first time visiting Humåtak, if it's your 10,000th time coming down here and visiting the village, there is no better way to be welcomed into the village than seeing that signature sign, made with laid out in rocks. And this thing has survived multiple super typhoons. Generations of Guamanians have gone. But whenever you see that. Now it says Umatic.
Yes.
It's that type of spelling. It's not the traditional Humåtak, right? But whenever you see Humatic by the sea, you're just filled with a sense of hospitality and, people welcoming you, people saying, come into my house if I've never met you before, have something to eat. What's mine is yours. And it's such a wonderful, warm feeling.
Yes, and it is. It's we've been doing this, and when you look at Humatak, you mentioned Humatak's never changed. It never did. If you look at it, the physical form of Humatak. So we have this cartographer called Freycinet, and he did a map of Humatak in 1819. So we took that map and we took the most recent map and we did an overlay, and the properties are still the same. The houses during the 1819 maps are still over the same properties that still exist today. The church still exists, the fort still exists. So really, Humatak has never changed since 1819, at least from that point.
Okay, now real quick, we want to read some of the shout-outs right now because people watching not only on Guam but all over the world right now on Facebook Live. Hafaday to Brandon Sanchez, who is saying, Biba, yes, Biba Humatak, Biba Mes Chamorro. Of course, it is now Chamorro month, so we're very happy to. So, Biba Mes Chamorro to you, Joe.
Biba.
All right. So, Brandon Sanchez is saying, thank you, Jason. Regina Hutchinson is saying, I want to come back. It's so beautiful. Absolutely agree, Regina. I hope our cameras are doing justice to just how amazing the weather is today. It's absolutely clear. The water looks beautifully pristine. It is absolutely amazing. And Richard Flores is saying, Joe, just left Guam, didn't want to go, but he is missing home. Hey, it's what we do, man. We are absolutely glad to bring this ceremony and this time-honored tradition to you. So on that note, Joe, once the reenactment ceremony starts of Magellan's landing here, what are people going to see and what exactly is portrayed?
So you're going to see island life as it was before Magellan landed. The dancers from the Ocean View Middle School will be the one performing, and then right after that, then Magellan comes sailing in, and you need to use your imagination in this part. The ship's supposed to be coming in. Magellan comes in. He comes in and he gets help. The people welcome him, and then a fight ensues, and then people get killed, and the huts get burned.
Now, for purposes of clarity, Magellan did not arrive on an outboard motor, just to let you know. I mean, it would probably take more significantly longer if Magellan came in with traditional ways and everything like that, but, that does not take away from, what a moving ceremony this truly is.
And years before, we used to call it mock landing, and so we would,
I remember that.
It's a mock-up of what Magellan would do, and sometimes we'll have Magellan come in with the sponsor beer, whether it be Ambrose, whether it be mid-pack.
Which they did not have in those days, by the way. So Magellan came completely unsponsored. Well, maybe he was sponsored by his government.
Yes.
But
It was sponsored by Mariana, the patron saint.
Absolutely. Very, very good point. Okay. What type of honor is it if you're a villager and you get to partake in the reenactment, is particularly if you're out on the boat and you actually get to do that, maybe what your cousins and your brothers and your grandfather, they took part in that. If you're a young person doing that, what does it mean to you to be from here and to actually have that responsibility?
Let me tell you, everybody wants to be part of this. There's only one part that they don't want to become, and that is Magellan.
And that's Magellan.
Yeah, because Magellan gets beaten up. But yes, it is an honor for a lot of these kids to actually tell the story in their way.
Okay, well, the wonderful sounds of the timeless Chamorro hit Hagu by, of course, a good friend of ours, Flora Bazakwan, is playing in the background. I believe we are going to start momentarily, it looks like, Joe. So you are watching KUAM News on Facebook Live. We're absolutely happy to have you on this wonderful day as we are joined as one family, one community, one heartbeat here on the southern village of Humåtak as we are showing you as preparations are being made out in the water right now for the recreation of Magellan's landing a long, long time ago. And there are many, many people here I can see by just, passing the eyeball test. There's so many people here that have seen this dozens and dozens of times over the course of their lifetime. And obviously there are many people here who are, just by looking at their faces, they are so pleased and privileged to be joining here, watching this for the very first time. And the moment is certainly not lost on them. Okay, yeah, so we are starting right now, so So thanks again for joining us. This is a rich part of our island's history, and we are actually going to take you to the public address. Announcers, we'll try and take you as close as we can, ladies and gentlemen, but here are the cultural dancers. And once again, these cultural dancers are performing right alongside these traditional huts, who Joe Kanata was just saying a few moments ago aren't exactly the same design as they were hundreds of years ago when Magellan made his historic landing on Guam, but enjoy the ceremony.
Our story begins, my friends. Humåtak. 4,000 years ago, a proud seafaring people arrived on the pristine shores of this beautiful island we call Guam. They brought with them advanced fishing techniques, productive agricultural methods.
Okay, and if for some reason you guys aren't able to hear the narrator, let me know, and I'll try and echo what he's saying so you guys watching at home can follow along.
Wisdom of the stars, moon, and sky, and other traditional customs. They were a people who were blessed with the gifts from the sea, land, and sky. Itasi, Itano, Janilanya. Respect for each other, respeto, and honor to the elders like uncle were expressed with the utmost importance. These were people who cared for one another through the value of inapamali and akopiki. The concept of family extended from the traditional members, such as mother, father, and children, but branched out to include the other members of society, and where all were treated as one. This oneness was formed from the rasa and hali, and was important to the true self-preservation of its familial system.
Okay, so we're reading your comments, everybody. We're going to go near the speaker now so you guys can hear as clear as a bell the story of Magellan's landing as it's being told to the several hundred of attendants here, and certainly many, many more watching online right now live on Facebook. And as a Guamanian, I've got to tell you, I'm just filled with so much pride right now, knowing that this is my heritage. I'm not from Humåtak, but I know that this is my history as well.
My friends, you are leaving today. My friends, you are going away. Please come back here again. First takes my dear friend. Matic by the sea, in our dear. Matic by the sea, in our dear. You matic by the sea. According to Magellan, a Portuguese explorer made landfall on Guam on March 6, 1521. He was a captain of a small fleet of Spanish ships which left Spain on September 20th, 1519. His original fleet consisted of 5 ships: the Conception, the Trinidad, the Antonio, the Victoria, and Santiago. Only 3 ships made it to Guam. The Santiago was lost off the coast of South America. The crew of the San Antonio committed mutiny and returned back to Spain. After a long and difficult trip around the Atlantic side of South America and through the Straits of Magellan, the remaining ships finally reached the Pacific Ocean. This part of the voyage took them a year to complete, It took them another 3 months to cross the Pacific before reaching Guahan. Magellan's crew was scurvy-ridden and starving. Most noteworthy of this voyage was that they managed to miss hundreds of Pacific islands during their monumental journey around the world. Swift sailing sakmans or galaidi greeted Magellan's ships as they neared the shores of Guahan. The islands were initially named Islas de las Latines, Islands of the Latin Sails, after the flying proas that were skillfully sailed by the Chamorros. According to historical accounts, the fleet landed right here in Humåtak Bay. Magellan was able to provision his ships during their short stopover. However, misunderstandings occurred between the Chamorros and the Spaniards, as the natives attempted to procure as much metal as they could from Magellan's ships. Open hostilities broke out after a small boat was taken from the Spaniards. They pillaged the village before leaving. They also renamed Guahan as Islas de los Ladrones, Island of Thieves.
Hudson, Hoover, Tulu, Huna, Tan Puntan, Tudu, Nina, Huna, Tan Puntan, Tahu, 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 Itau, Tahu, Tahu, Huna.
From out of the jungles, a river flowed and bubbled with fresh, cool life over the smooth river rocks. It wound through prickly thickets and vines embedded along banks. Soon the water slowed and the river opened into the majestic ocean of warm sunshine. This was the son of a humble villager people. Coconut trees were abundant in the village and served as a source of life for the people. Their green leaves towered into the clear blue sky, like light towering guiding its lost sailor, and down below were the little wooden huts of the village people. On the ocean's reef, he looked carefully. Often, a group of men could be seen, the warriors. They stood as still as the rocks beneath them, peering into the shimmering water with their spears held firmly upright. They looked for the slightest movement. Then suddenly, with great precision and accuracy, one of the men stabbed his spear to the water, maintaining a firm grip. He retracted his spear from the glassy water to reveal his catch. Woohoo! He smiled confidently and was satisfied with the notion that his family would look forward to a feast upon his return. Back on land, underneath the cool shade of coconut trees, sat a group of women with their young daughters. They held in their hands fresh green leaves from the coconut trees. The women taught their young daughters the craft of weaving. With this craft, the women were able to create clothing, mats, baskets, and could also provide sufficient shelter for their homes. And if you look to the right, ladies and gentlemen, and friends and visitors, down at the end of the trail that was well worn from the steps of villagers was a gathering of young warriors displaying their youthful strength as they each raced to climb up the towering coconut trees that grew magnificently towards the sky. The young men collected their coconuts and began to spit the nuts with their bare hands. That were rough from hard labor. A hollow length of bamboo would serve as their pitchers to store the sweet water that poured out from the young coconuts. The young women would then bring this sweet water to their families, for it would quench the thirst of a long day's work.
Hammy.
Okay, so if you're just joining us live right now on Facebook Live, the reenactment of Magellan's landing is just shortly in a few moments. The atmosphere here is very, very tense, as scores of Guamanians, native and otherwise, are witnessing what many believe to be one of the most seminal moments in our island's history. As you can see out on the water, the boat symbolizing the arrival of Magellan. The boat is out on the water, but will be making landfall very, very soon. So hafide to everybody joining from all over the world. Friends from Oklahoma City, I'm seeing, Texas, Oceanside, California. Hafide to everybody. Julie A.T. Duenas, we're happy to bring it to you here if you can't be here in person. All right, so hello and hafide to Bardstown, Kentucky, South Florida. Miami is in the house, Illinois, and San Diego. Hello, everybody.
Nenti, Igwinaita Tunita Nota. Ay, Marianas, Marianas, Itano. Islas Marianas, Tano Tamuru. Ay, Marianas, Marianas, Itano. Islas Marianas, Tano Tamoru, Tano
This was the life of these village people, teaching the young the ways of living, toiling under the warm sun, fishing in the blue Pacific Ocean, and living harmoniously together. It started off as another day like so many before. The people of the village went about their daily toils, some stopping to engage in neighborly conversation, others simply enjoying time with their family. Abruptly, the harmonious noise of the village life was interrupted by a resounding echo of the kulu or the conch shell. This signaled the villagers that visitors were arriving. The villagers hurried to the beach side and gathered to welcome their visitors. The men stood knee-high in the ocean water, blowing the conch. On the ocean's horizon, the people could see an enormous object, unlike anything they had ever witnessed. The object was made of some kind of metal, and not of the natural materials they had used for their gliders.
And now the moment we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, the reenactment
The people welcomed their visitors.
of one of the most significant moments in our island's history, the arrival of Magellan to Guam soil.
The visitors aboard the vessel stepped out. They were of a paler skin tone than the people of the village and wore a soft material that covered their bodies. They stumbled off the vessel, for they were weak and famished. Nevertheless, the villagers welcomed their visitors into their village and their homes. The women brought baskets of fresh fruit and bamboo pitchers filled with sweet water, coconut water. The pale-skinned people accepted these gifts, for they were thirsty and hungry for the long ocean voyage.
And right now you're seeing the reenactment of native Chamorros accepting Magellan as he made his landfall right here in Humåtak Bay. He brought with him gifts to show his gratitude as the natives took good care of and accepted them, showing the island hospitality that continues to this day.
Several days had passed since the arrival of the men aboard the vessel. The villagers helped nourish the spell-skinned men back to good health. They had also supplied the crew with food and water for their next journey. The pale-skinned men continued to indulge in the gifts from the villagers. One day, noise was heard about the vessel. The pale-skinned men ran out to the vessel to investigate the noise. They discovered the village men, the warriors, aboard their vessel, rummaging through the pale-skinned men's belongings and taking what they believed were gifts for them. For you see, this was the villagers' tradition, a tradition of reciprocity. This angered the pale-skinned visitors. There were shouts and loud thundering shots that came from the barrels of guns held by the pale-skinned warriors. Men, the warriors shouted, "Opa! Dark blow!" The village men aboard the ship were killed, and the pale-skinned men returned to the village to finish off the rest of the people. It was a fight the village people did not realize was theirs, not even begun to understand by the time it was all over. You can hear the women crying and screaming. "Asala Pabalawan!" family, friends, and visitors. Although that event took place hundreds of years ago at the mouth of that same river that poured out into the blue Pacific Ocean, there still lives a humble village people here in Humåtak. While changed forever by that historical event, these people still remain toiling under the warm sun, stopping even for just a brief moment to exchange in neighborly conversation, living in harmony and passing down traditions learned from their ancestors. My friends, visitors, family, before you are the proud descendants of the Chamorros. We have persevered over many obstacles, and we continue to respect and appreciate that which bonds our spirit of life with faith, hope, and love. We are the people from Humåtak. We are Guahan. We are the Chamorros. Viva Humåtak!
Viva!
Viva Humåtak!
Viva!
Viva Chamorros!
Viva! Maniluhu te manila mo put for board for nogi hulu that togi bendition. My brothers and sisters and all the people of Humåtak, we ask that you please stand for our bendition, our blessing, and please join us. Wasainam, Wasainam, Oaniti, Inumai Hamines Kuntan, Inale, Wasainam, Oaniti, Ninumai Hamines Kuntan, Inale. Saina, 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 Mami, Nayam Sinya, Nayam Wadu, Gita Nomu. Saina, Saina, Mami, Aniha, Zana fit me, Inatin Mami. Saina, Saina, Mami, Nayam Sinyan, Ayin Wadu, Yitanolo. Saina, Saina, Mami, Aniha, Dana Fitmi, Inatin Mami. Susteni, Susteni, Ipan Mami, Inigitanu.
My friends, on behalf of the people from Humåtak, Dr. Nasidus Masi para ipinitolongiso pa ako ng haan. Thank you for being here. At this time, I'd like to thank the Mayor, Johnny Kinata, and staff, the Unit Planning Council, the Bank of Guam, Guam Visitors Bureau, the youth with Humåtak Foundation, under the guidance of Uncle Joe Kinata, the Ocean View Middle School. Let's give them a big round of applause. Under the guidance of Simon Ray Lujan, and to their parents, Sidus Masi and I. There's two of them, if you look carefully, the crew. There's two small ones from the University of Truman and one from the Father Duenas High School. And on our crew, we have on the boat is Jason, Uncle Jason Sanchez, and Justin Sanchez. Also like to thank Ati Jota, who owns the boat, and all the family and friends again. Thank you, everyone. Please enjoy your stay here. On the right is the foundation. They can tour you around Humåtak to get more information on the history. And then,
So once again, everybody, regardless of where you're streaming us from, certainly that was a very, very moving ceremony. And if you happen to be a native of Guam, if you've lived on Guam for any period of time, or you're just tuning in for the very first time, we hope this ceremony and this lesson of history was as moving and as meaningful to you as it is to every single one of us in attendance, every single one of us as native Guamanians, and basically everybody is residents of our great community. You saw there a very historic reenactment of who we are as a people, what we've been through, and how we continue, as the narrator very fittingly said, how we continue to persevere, how we continue to share in our culture, share the love that we have, and share in our sense of family. So thank you so much for being with us. And very fittingly, we are going to close out here on Humåtak Bay, a very wonderful day with the sounds of Hafaday. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day. Viva Humåtak!
Hafaday!